Hey everyone! Today I'm going to make my very first Phoebe backpack from Sincerely Jen Patterns. Again, this is my very first one. I have read through the instructions. I've also enlarged this one so it's a full-size backpack instead of a mini. More so because the scale of my fabric is bigger. But this will give my daughter a school backpack, so she's pretty excited. I'm going to be using cotton lycra. It's interfaced with Woven Fuse 2 from Got Interfacing. And then with fleece on the back of all of it, except for the bottom gusset and the back. Oops. The back main panel. I cut my gusset in half and added a little bit extra seam allowance, the bottom one, so I could sew them together, so when I put it on, both sides will be going the right direction. Then I'm going to use some vinyl from My Punk Broidery. It's the metallic avocado. It's not in stock currently, but it's supposed to be, there's supposed to be more coming. It's really, really, really pretty. But it is like, it's got a stretch to it. You can see it stretching here. So I went ahead and put a strip of Woven Fuse, just the original one, down the center. It's 2 inches, and I made a 4-inch wide cut instead of what she has in the pattern, just because I enlarged it. I enlarged my pattern to 125%, so I should get about a 15-inch finished backpack. The handle, the strap connectors, and the straps are all gonna fit 1-inch hardware instead of the 3/4 inch hardware. I did forget to say I'm using waterproof canvas also, so I have no interfacing on my interior. And my cotton lycra fabric is from Hapa Fabrics. So for the first part, we're going to take our, I'm using zipper tape, so I'm going to use 15-inch zipper. This is both the pull and the tape is from Wizardry, Stitchery, and Crafts. So we'll take our zipper and our side panels, and we're going to make a zipper sandwich. Let's see. You're going to have your zipper pull on the left, and your side panel exterior needs to be on top, and the curve side is down at the bottom. Then we'll take our coordinating lining side panel and make that sandwich. So it'll be the lining right side up, the zipper on top of that. I guess you need to center it because the panel is a little bit bigger than the zipper tape, and then right side down on top. Okay, so I won't base stitch this on. I'm just going to stitch it now. I'm going to stitch it with the lining right side up, just because I have some interfacing overhang. This is a 1/2-inch seam allowance, and we're just going to sew right across. Okay. Then we'll go ahead and repeat for the other side. Make sure your Make sure your panels are going the same direction. Half-inch seam allowance. And now we can top stitch. I use a 5 for my top stitch. I used a 3 for my regular sewing. I'm using a Juki 1181N. And I have Tex 90 bonded nylon from Sunny's Sewing. Okay, and top stitch. Okay, so then you are going to take our front panels and fold them in half and find the center. And we're going to do it with our lining panel as well. And we also want to do it with our zipper that we just made. Since I enlarged this, I needed a longer zipper. And I did play with this first, and it was too long based upon the using zipper by the yard measurements and then increasing that by 125%. I took a 1/2 inch of zipper tape off. Just as a heads up, you may want to test it before you get too far. So we're going to take our curved edges and our exterior, and we're going to match up our center marks. Make sure you have the curved side. Match those up, and then come down to the bottom and match up your corners, your points or whatever. And then go, you're gonna have to curve it into the bag panel, the front panel. And we're just gonna keep clipping all the way around. Then we'll come back to the other end and match up our points again. And then curve it around. So if you look at my side panels, the side panel is bigger than my zipper. So I'm just kind of leaving a little bit of overhang and matching it up like that. Okay, so that's all clipped on, and we'll baste it. These little clips are just Wonder Clips from Amazon. They're not even the real Wonder Clip brand. Just the stuff in that little tin. Get like 100 of them for 10 bucks or something. Just making sure that my zipper's lined up while I'm basting this on. Pushing it, moving it to where it needs to be. I imagine that my zipper side panel is a little bit bigger because of the enlarging I did on the pattern. So something to keep in mind when if you enlarge this. But I'm sure it matches up. When you do it the actual size. Okay, so we've got that basted. Let's go ahead and fold this in half. I'm going to go ahead and match up the seams here to be able to find the center and clip that on. And then we will take the lining right side down and clip it onto the exterior. Matching up our center. And then starting at the bottom, just like we did before. And clip all the way around again. I like to try to push that zipper like flat. So it doesn't like bulge up while I'm trying to stitch it on. Okay, and we'll go to the other side. Because my side panel was a little bit bigger, I have to match up my lining panel a little bit differently. And I forgot about that when I was clipping it just a minute ago. I'm still going to need to have overhang. And you know, if you don't get it to fit the first time, just gotta re-clip, move it around until you get it to fit right. There we go. Much better. Okay, so we can stitch this on now. Sorry. For some reason it's not going. There we go. So this is a 1/4 inch seam allowance. I'm going to use a 3 stitch length, and I'm going to sew with the lining facing up. Especially because I have that overhang from the side panel. I like to try to keep pushing everything with the tips of my fingers, so I can feel that zipper is smooth and not bunching up, or if we're stitching on different parts of the zipper or anything like that. Oops. You can stitch this at the 1/4 inch when you put the zipper on, and then just follow your stitch line from before. But I can never get that perfect without seeing the previous stitch line in some spots, which you could just rip out later if you wanted. But then you have the holes, and that annoys me, so I do the 1/8 of an inch and then the full 1/4 inch. Okay. Whoops. Okay, we're going to turn it right side out. I'll move y'all for this. So I'm going to go around the curves with my fingers. Push everything out. Okay. Here's our pocket so far. Then we're going to top stitch. So I'll move y'all again. Sorry. Okay, so I'm going to switch to a 5 stitch length. I'm not going to iron this. I'm just going to pull gently. I use my zipper foot for everything, and I'm going to use the inside of my zipper foot as my guide. So if you can see, I'm kind of flipping this up and pulling this zipper and side panel away from the edges, or from the main pocket piece rather. Still carrying on to do the same thing around the top here. You don't want to pull your zipper too hard because you don't want it to end up being like wavy or anything. Okay, and then I have my needle down. I'm just going to adjust this some more, pull it, smooth it, get it away from the sides and what have you. Okay, we're down to the point, and we need to baste the bottom closed. So I'm just going to pivot and go right across with my 5 stitch length. Oop. If you wanted to put a nameplate on, I would do that right before top stitching this. Okay, so flip this all back out. And this is our pocket so far. Okay, now we're going to take our front pocket back on the wrong side. And we're going to mark the top and the bottom center. I'm just going to use a regular pen on this because my markings weren't showing up for me on this with anything else. And we're going to take our pattern piece and mark the, I think this is the zipper markings. I'm not really sure how you would call these. It's not the quarter marks, but you should probably mark these on the right side, I'm imagining. But I don't want to with using regular pen. Yes, these are where the side panels are supposed to be. So we're going to take our pocket. I'm going to match up the sides. I'm going to find the center yet again. And clip it. And then right side together. You're going to match that center. I actually am liking how the back, how I marked on the back is working out for me. Here's the center of the front pocket, and I'm going to match up the center with the front pocket back. She has you trim your pointed corner in a moment. So I'm just going to work around that for now. My marking for the side panels, it did not match with my side panels, so I'm just going with it. It looks like I'm about 1/4 of an inch or 1/2 inch off on my markings. Again, probably because I've enlarged it and things shift. But as long as you get it to fit in there and it's even, you should be pretty good. I also, again, since my side panels are big, I need to make sure that I am including that in my lining up, I guess is how you would say that. So I need to leave a little bit of an overhang is what I'm trying to say there. Okay, so we're gonna baste all the way around this now. So I'll move. I'm gonna start pretty close to the curve at the bottom. Got my 5 stitch lengths. I really like holding my pockets up like this when going around the curves. It just helps it like automatically go into that curve for you. Now I'm going to follow my back lining panel around the curve at the bottom here. And again over here. Okay, we can trim the curves. I've got a little bit of interfacing overhang, so I'm just going to keep trimming around. And I'll trim those side panels down, which I should have just done a long time ago. But, you know. Okay, so we have a whole pocket. We have a marking on the back side for our center. Then we're going to take the front top panel and fold it in half and find the center of that. And you'll want to mark the bottom of the center. So the deep curve. And let's move, y'all. So we're going to take the zipper and the top panel and match it up. And work your way around that curve. It's actually supposed to match up to that side panel. It's supposed to match up to that. So I'm not sure that's gonna happen. It is. maybe. Sure.
You have to have a half of my little.
Oh, okay.
And you can have one.
Not really sure how that worked, but okay. It fit into the curve. See, sometimes you, oh, no, because it's moved. Thanks, Wonder Clips. Okay, I did it. Whew, that was a tight curve. Okay, so we're gonna use a 1/4 inch seam allowance and sew this on. And I'm gonna sew into it by having the lining back look up at me. So the top front panel will be against the bed of my machine. Let's see. Quarter-inch seam here. A 3 stitch length. I've got my zipper pull right here, so I'm going to move that out of the way. This has once again moved, so I'm a little short now. Hopefully that won't make too much of a difference, but I'm guessing it will. So here's this so far. You could put, I'm not going to because that'll cover up this cute little stitch here, but you could put your tag here as well. That would be really cute. That's probably where I would put it if I was using one. So this is our like completed front panel. Here's where I'm short just a little. Hopefully I can take like a big seam allowance right there, and it won't matter any. So, we'll see, I guess. Yay for first time making things, huh? Okay, so you want your top gusset panel, the lining, and the exterior, and your larger zipper now. Since I'm using directional fabric, I want to put my zipper on the bottom of my directional fabric. So I'm going to lay it zippers face down. Sorry, I wish I had like a better angle at this. So I'm going to do it like this. So then it'll flip down, and then this will attach to the top of the bag and go around like that. So I'm going to base this on with 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Probably would help if I moved, y'all. Sometimes I just get in the groove and forget about what I'm doing. Okay. Just as an FYI, I only got this zipper measurement by timesing the zipper measurement by 125%, and it does fit pretty close to right, at least. I'm a little bit short this time, but I think that's just was my error. Okay. Oh, so the zipper pull was supposed to, be on the left with it with the zipper right side down. So then we're going to clip our lining on. Okay, I'm going to sew from the exterior side so I can see my 1/4 inch seam. Okay. Then we're going to open this up. I like to open like half of mine and then flip the other half over. And then we'll top stitch. trying to pull the zipper away from the fabric. Keep an even. I don't know what I was gonna say. Okay. So then we're gonna grab our handle. So like I said, this has some stretch. So I've got the 2-inch piece of woven fuse on the back for mine. Okay, so I'm gonna, I've got a 4-inch wide handle currently. I'm gonna take my Frixion pen and mark a line down the center. Let's see if maybe I can put you here. Oh yeah, that's all right. And then, where did I see? There it is. Sorry, I've got fuzz all over this. I've got 1/4-inch double-sided tape from waywack.com, wallwack, I don't know. And I'm putting it right over that line I drew down the center. I'm gonna peel the other end of the other side of the double-sided tape off. So I have this. We're gonna fold up the edges of the vinyl to meet the center. This vinyl is pretty thin, so double folding this won't be an issue. If you're using a thicker vinyl, like marine, to double fold this and stitch it onto your bag might be a little tricky. So if you wanted to do a 2-sided strap, like a vinyl and fabric strap, that might be a good option. Now we're going to fold the other side in to the line. I'm using like little hair clips kind of things. They're from moremeknow.com. I really enjoy them. They don't leave marks on your vinyl like your Wonder clips can sometimes. But the Wonder clips work great too. And even with the marks, after you let it rest, the marks will go away. So it's not a huge deal, but I do like these. Plus they're rainbow, so it's a win. All right, so we have this now. Raw edges are folded in. And we're going to fold it one more time to hide those raw ends. And then I'll clip it just to hold it, whoops, together a bit. My double-sided tape does not like the backing on this vinyl. Wow, I'm so sorry about my throat. Okay, all set now. This is a little, like it's got a little bit of a wonky edge. You can trim that, but it's going to be sewn into the side seam, so there's really no point right now. I'm actually gonna try just keeping y'all right here because I think I really like this angle here. Hopefully my strap doesn't hit it though. Okay, so I like to stitch down the open side first. Actually, we're not supposed to stitch this yet, so hold on. Okay, we're gonna fold this handle in half to find the center. And then after finding the center, we're gonna make a mark 3 inches away from there. So I'm just gonna keep it folded. And I'm gonna draw a couple little marks right onto my vinyl. And I'll flip it over and do the same thing on the other side. Now this is a Frixion pen. The pen is supposed to wipe off with, go away with heat. You obviously don't want to use heat on your vinyl, so I'm just gonna like lick my finger and make it go away. Okay, we're also supposed to have 1/2 inch marks also. So 3 inches and then the 1/2 inch. So I'm gonna make a little dotted line. Okay. So this is my 3 inch mark from the center and the other 3 inch mark. And just inside that is the 1/2 inch marks. But I did that backwards. Darn it. It's supposed to go to the outside, of course. Okay, so I'm going to erase those lines in the front. Okay. 3 inch, 3 inch, and a 1/2 inch further out. So we are going to sew from the furthest line outside to the furthest line on the other side. And we're going to make a rectangle. I'll start on my open end. I'm going to use 1/8 inch seam allowance and a 5 stitch length. And I will hit this phone I have here. I'm not going to back stitch right now. Ooh, my vinyl's curving off to the side, so I'm not going to actually run into the phone. Okay, and I need about a little bit less than a 1/2 stitch or so. Okay, we're gonna lift after we had our needle in the fabric. We're gonna sew down. And we're gonna sew back down the other side here, the finished edge. Now I'm gonna hit it. There we go. Gonna go back up. Okay, we're at the beginning. So I'm going to pivot. I'm going to pull my threads, my beginning threads to the side. I'm going to sew about 3 stitches up and then back stitch. You could also just pull your threads to the back, but this'll do. So right now, this is what we have. You can still see my half, well, these are actually my 3-inch marks. We're gonna grab 2 D-rings. I've got buckle D-rings from Wizardry Stitchery Crafts, so my straps don't twist or anything. These are like my favorite D-rings ever. But I think she's running low on stock. This is like the spot for videoing. Let me know what you think about this spot, so I can know if I should do this again. I really like it. Okay, it says to put some clips right there so the D-rings don't get in the way. And then to grab your zipper panel, open it back up. My little cutie stitch is gonna get covered up. This one, it's gotta be my favorite. Look how cute he is. Oh, and I love pineapple, so that helps too. Okay, so we're gonna open this up and lay it flat. Okay, so it's opened, our top panel, and I've pinned the the lining out of the way. It says to measure 1.25 inches away from the top. I do not have the same, my panel's thicker. So I'm just gonna eyeball it, actually. If you look at her picture really close, it looks like it's maybe 1/4 inch away from your top stitching. So I'm just gonna kind of line it up there and sew it on like that. Okay, so I went ahead and stuck 1/4 inch double-sided tape down from my stitch line down, so I can get this stuck on here without it moving, hopefully. My vinyl was too short, so I just color blocked it. I just added a little section and put it on there. So we're going to top stitch this on now. We're going to go from the raw end to the stitch line, stitch through that, and then back down. Still using that 5 stitch length. This is causing, it's pretty thick right there, so I am on a 5 stitch length, which would be helpful. I was not on a 5 stitch length. gonna pivot and go down that stitch line I already made. I like to hand crank to make sure I'm getting in the right spot. Okay, I'm gonna have to move here. And we're gonna stitch back down. Okay, now we're going to repeat that on the other side. So for this side, because I want to sew that open side first, I'm going to start at my stitch line for the handle. So I am going to go forward a couple and then back a couple right there. Sorry. I'll hold you right here for right now. Okay, pivot. And back up. And I'm out of bobbin. I actually ran out of bobbin when I turned, so I won bobbin chicken until I didn't. My kids are really loud. I'm sorry. I think you can hear them better than you can hear me. Okay. And I'm going to back stitch. Okay. So we'll trim those ends. I'm going to lick that one line off. Then we're going to take these clips off and push the D-rings all the way down to the other end, like where our stitching is. And we're going to stitch across our line. That's our 3-inch line. We're going to stitch across there to hold these D-rings in place on both sides. So I'm just going to start at my stitch line. I'll sew across and then back stitch all the way down. And I'll do it once more just for added strength. I don't know that you necessarily need added strength there, but just in case. Okay, and we'll do it again. Whoops. I dropped another clip. Okay, so we will unclip the ends of our panel. Get rid of your marks if you have any. And this is what we have right now. Okay. We're going to grab the lining, not the lining, the exterior gusset, bottom gusset, and we will stitch this on. So this is going to be on the bag like so, and I want it to keep going around the right direction. So these two sides need to match up. We're going to clip this together. And we're going to leave the lining like this. We're not going to open it up and get the lining out of the way. So this is the side I must be short on my zipper some. But we're going to use a 1/2 inch seam allowance, so I'm not concerned. I am not going to stitch this on now. I'm going to grab my lining gusset panel, finish my sandwich by matching these up right sides together, and clipping this in place. And then we'll sew it with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Go back down to your 3. When I get to my handle, I'm going to backstitch across it to reinforce that. That's where all your weight's going to be from this bag. Then, just to make sure that backstitching and stitching over it again didn't actually weaken the vinyl, I'm going to stitch right inside my stitch line, just over that vinyl area. So from about right here to about right here. We're going to make a loop now, so doing the same thing. Going to match your exterior up over here. Oh my. Brag, brag, brag. Okay, then we're going to take our lining, right sides together, clip that, and also sew with a 1/2 inch. I'm going to do it the same way, back stitching across the vinyl area. Then I'm going to go and reinforce that vinyl too. Especially with this being a full-size bag instead of the mini, I would highly recommend stitching it like this, because the last thing you want is for your bag to pull out right there. And we can top stitch this now. So, turn back up to a 5. Sorry you cannot see very well, or actually at all. It does have you baste the whole loop together. Looks like and I have to have this pretty snug. So I'm going to go ahead and start basting here and then just pivot around. And since my baste and my top stitch are the same length, I can just pivot and keep sewing. Pardon. I can't really get this one out of the way, I'm sorry. Okay. I do need to baste down this side here. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and clip these threads. Hold on, sorry. Better to get them now because it's hard to get in here afterwards and see them. Okay. So we're gonna match up these sides here, the side seams, and we're gonna mark the bottom center. I'm just imagining on both sides. And then we'll mark the top. Oh, there we go. Okay, let's go ahead and grab the exterior that we made. And fold it in half and find the center. She did have you do this earlier in the pattern, but I didn't. Okay. And we're gonna flip this over because we want to match up, let's see, not this way. We want to flip it wrong side out and match up the center of the zipper with the top of the exterior panel. And we'll do the bottom. They are so loud, I'm so sorry. And your side should probably match your side on your pockets here. Now, I've got cotton lycra for my exterior with fleece and woven fuse 2 and waterproof canvas. And then my gusset has foam in it. So this is going to be a little bit more bulky, but with my industrial I should have no problem. But just as a heads up, it might be pretty thick for your home machine. This does fit in here really nicely. I'm so sorry.
Oh, use it. Just use it. You did that?
Okay. So I started back up at the top because I had a feeling this wasn't going to ease in here well. And I was right. I'm sure it's my fault, not the pattern. Let me go to this other side, see what it's fitting like over here. Just to see if it was maybe I had too much on the one side. But it's not looking like it.
I just threw something at you. Wait, I threw something at the ghost. The ghost did that. Yeah, I know. I just passed the ghost. Now I'm catching up to you. Not to me. Stop! Oh my goodness. I just crashed into the egg. You know, Phoebe bed. She's one of mine. I'm in fourth place. Okay. Now I'm going to throw something at you, Libby. And it will go to you, not anyone else.
Well, I got it in there on that side, but I had to move my lineup of my side panels, which stinks,
Wait, she did?
but it is what it is.
What? She did? I'm taking that shortcut. There we go.
So at least we can not match up both of these, so it'll have consistency.
Hey, you pulled it loud. Yeah, I'm throwing stuff at you right now.
Okay,
Yeah, I threw
so that works.
Hey, who did that? Ooh, I threw something
So let's baste this on. So again, I like to sew into the curve. So I'm gonna sew like this. I'll go ahead and move y'all back over here so you can see me sewing into the curve better. I'm gonna start approximately at the side seam. It actually says sew this, so I guess I have a 3 stitch length. Sorry. At least they're having fun, I guess. I like to go pretty slow with these curved zippers. Okay. If you do that when your zipper or your needle isn't down, please be careful. Don't move your bag. Okay. This is where it would be pretty thick for your home machine. Whoa. Oh, that is not liking that area right there. So I'm going to skip over it a bit. And then go back stitch. There we go. And we're almost back up to where we started. Whoop. And there we go. Okay, so I'm gonna check this. This is so cute. Oh my gosh, I love it. So cute. Okay, so on this one short side, you can see I didn't catch it all the way right there. Maybe I could take just a little bit of a bigger seam allowance to fold that in kind of, because that's what this side does. It comes like down to a point. So I'm not like too terribly concerned about it because it's just for my daughter. But I do have a little bit of a big seam, or a smaller, I took a smaller seam allowance right there, it looks like. So I'll just go back in. All right, took a little bit of a bigger seam allowance. Not much because there's, you know, other zipper right there, and you want to still be able to close your zipper. Which it closes still, but you can see where it comes to a point. I still have a little bit visible right there, but it's fine. It's fine enough. Okay, the next part is doing the zipper pockets. So you'll need your 4 zipper pocket pieces, your lining front panel, and then you'll also need your back panel eventually. So my lining front panel's here. It's already folded in half. I've got to mark down the center. I've got 1 pocket panel. I'm going to fold it in half, the short ends to short ends, to mark the center of this one. On the top of this rectangle, you want the 10-inch long side. You're going to make an 8-inch box. I do 2 parallel lines that are 3/8 of an inch apart. So I'll show you in just a second here. So I do 2 lines just with a normal pen. This is on the wrong side of the pocket. 2 lines, and then we're just going to stitch those 2 lines. We will not stitch a line right here. So we made our box 1 inch down from the top. I can't remember if I actually said that. I'm just going to lay my pocket on here. Since my pattern's enlarged, I don't want it only 2.5 inches up from the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and put it 2 inches down from the top. Place my pocket piece centered there. So my pocket opening will end up being 3 inches down because I placed the top edge of my pocket panel at the 2-inch mark. So then 1 inch further down is my 2 lines. You can pin this, clip this, whatever you want here. I just hold it in place, try not to move it. Put my needle down, my machine's on. I've got a 3 stitch length, and I make sure that my center marks are lined up on the top and the bottom after I've moved it to make sure that my zipper pocket is still going to be straight. My machine's kind of noisy today. Okay, then I'm going to pivot this around and line up where I stopped sewing on the other side, straight across, and sew down this other line here. Definitely want to make sure you backstitch at the beginning and end of both of those. Cutting my jump threads. These threads where I didn't cut the thread before, that's a jump thread. Took me way too long to figure out what a jump thread was. Then I'm using waterproof canvas. My seam ripper doesn't like a couple layers of waterproof canvas usually, so I'll just start a hole. Just kidding, this one's gliding through like butter, so I don't know. I guess I just didn't like my last waterproof canvas. So I'm going to go to the scissors, and I stopped my whole, I got this one too close, but I'm going to come back about 1/2 inch and start making my clips in. So you'll have a little triangle cut out. I call these my V clips because you're making a V with your scissors. I always like to show an up close of this. These are your V clips here. You made this clip and the other one down. Okay. Then we're going to take our pocket, and I start like here usually and push it in through your opening. I like to try to finger press this first, and then I'll hit it with some steam afterwards, especially on the waterproof canvas, because the waterproof canvas does not like to stay where it's supposed to be. Okay, so this is the back side. I'm going to come over here and press this real quick. Even after finger pressing, I still have this moved. Got a couple of crow's lines in this corner here. I'll just try to pull that out while I'm stitching my zipper in. This is what we have right now. I think yep, I did. I dropped my zipper, hold on. I've got a number 3 zipper here from My Handmade Space. So I just like to, I have this cut at 9 inches. My opening is only 8 inches. So I kind of just tuck this under and line it up. Make sure it's even. Then I'll hold the whole thing down and slide it over to the machine. I start wherever I'm comfortable with. I've started at the top left corner, the bottom right corner. I've started in the middle. Doesn't really matter. So we're gonna put our needle down and go to a 5 and stitch this in. I like to try to stay about 1/8 of an inch away, just like I do when I'm top stitching anything. I'm getting down to that crow's side, so I'm just gonna like kind of pull this tight. You don't want to pull it tight to stretch it out or anything, just pull it taut. Sorry, my dog's a barker, so. Okay, so we're gonna finish pivoting this and stitching back down the other side. Make sure our zipper's staying straight. Pivot again. And sew back up. Eek. Whew, almost went one step too far. So now I'm back to where I started. I'm gonna sew forward a couple and then back. So I don't know if you can see, but I didn't have my zipper over far enough on this side. So I'm gonna have to sew another line of stitching, which is fine. This is just for my daughter, but don't do that. So here's our zipper now. I like to open my zipper now just so I make sure I have it open later. And I'm gonna run that line of stitching down real quick, because we're going to put this back panel on and I don't want to not be able to do this later. So what I could have done for this is stitch all the way around a second time, just so it had some uniformness to it. I could just stitch again really, really close to the edge. But again, it's just for my daughter, so. Okay, we're gonna take our second zipper panel piece and lay it right sides together. I do like to clip this just because I have had it move multiple times. So just a few clips, I've got 3 on here. I'm gonna start at the bottom of my pocket. So up the side, pivot, and sew down and back down. I'm gonna keep the lining fabric out of the way. I like to sew with my pocket looking up at me. So I'm gonna flip my lining out of the way. I just use a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance and a 3 stitch. I use the 3/8 of an inch because I'm more comfortable with the 3/8 of an inch stitch length. It's my favorite stitch length. Okay, let's try this again. My bobbin thread popped out. Okay, as you can see, I'm really close to the folded edge of this fabric, so I'm going to pull it out of the way because you don't want to sew your pocket to that. That was like my most confused part when I first started making bags was, am I supposed to sew this part of the zipper onto the zipper pocket onto the bag? So I'm now got the top part of my lining panel flipped down, so we don't sew on that. You'll get multiple different sizes of seam allowance that you can take with this. As long as you don't take anything like bigger than a 1/2 inch, you're pretty good. Because you have an inch overhang on both sides of your pocket. So, and it's just a pocket, so do whatever makes you comfortable. Okay, so I left the bottom of the pocket open because we're going to turn our bag through there. So this is open. My zipper is open now, so I don't forget to do it later. This is where I'd usually add a tag also that had my business name on it. It's like a little care tag, a hang tag, whatever you want to call them. I usually like to put them on like the same side as the zipper opens from. I'm not doing that. I'm out of them, or else I would. Okay, so we're gonna do the back of the bag now. And it's done the same, at the same height as the other one that we just did. So I could do it the same. I could do it left and right across the back. That's actually probably going to cut into my little stitch guy here that I just love. It actually is just above him, so I think we'll leave it that way. But we could also turn our pocket and have it going up and down if we wanted to as well, which is what I was going to do because I thought my stitch would get in the way. But I'm going to just do it on the top here because it'll be fine. Yeah. So I just laid this on here. I've got my pocket lines drawn already. Just right here. Maybe I'll move it down just a little bit. I'm just gonna get really close to stitch there if I do. Let me measure. That's 2.5 inches down. I think that'll be fine. We'll leave it. Okay, so I'm just gonna hold this on here. I know that it's centered because I have it matched up to my basting stitch of my foam. So I'm just going to jump right in. We're doing the exact same thing that we did for the other pocket. I'm actually going to use a number 5 zipper on the exterior just so it matches my other zippers on the exterior. I'm gonna come over here. Now what I should have done since I used the foam on the back, is I should have cut this square out of my foam. This rectangle rather. Oh, sometimes. All right, gonna trim the threads and that jump thread. Now I really probably will have to switch to my scissors for this because it's thicker. Okie doke. Okay, that's about as good as it's gonna get for getting that hole made. So I'll just cut down the rest of the length here. You want to try to keep it centered. V-clips. Okay, and while I'm at it, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to try to trim this foam down some. Because that is going to give us like a big poofy area. And nobody really wants a big poofy area, right? So I've just like got the foam pulled up. I'm trimming as close as I can. My scissors are allowing me to stay a certain amount away from my stitching just by the thickness of them. So I've got it trimmed down some now, so you can't really tell, but we'll do the same thing. Push this in and back and pull it tight. Try to finger press it. Might try to get my iron to come over here. Gotta be careful with this foam because the foam sometimes just doesn't like you. If you get your foam too warm, it will start to melt. I use my heat press on it, so it's got to be like fire hot. What? Okay, so again, we're still doing the same thing. I have my number 5 zipper here. We're gonna slide this under, making sure you have enough room to actually catch the end of the zipper, unlike me last time. Okay, so like so. I added some clips on here because the waterproof canvas with the foam is really wanting to roll under. It's still rolled under, so I'm gonna have to pull it taut when I come over to the machine. All right, this is pretty straight. So let me go ahead and pull my waterproof canvas and put my my needle down. Switch back to my 5. I don't like my fabric peeking out. You could have it peek out and look like have it look like a piping almost under there or around it, like a faux piping, which is cool. I've never actually done it. I've only had it peek out in some spots, so it just looks like it messed up instead of being piping. But if you do it intentionally all the way around, it looks pretty sweet. I like it. Unfortunately, mine is peeking out a little bit even after pulling it. That's why I should have cut it before, that box out before, so you didn't have any of that puffiness coming through. Oops, should move that. Oh, I just put my needle in Stitch's eye. That hurt a little bit. All right, so still got to pull this waterproof canvas down. Sorry for that. I thought it would be in the way more, but it's fine. Oops. Then of course I ran into the phone. Okay, we're back at the beginning, so I'm going to go up a couple and back. I usually like to do 3. 3 is my lucky number with that. I don't know. My go-to number. I actually caught the zipper both times. Here's my pocket. You can't really see the waterproof canvas either, but you can see it there. So it doesn't look bad, which is nice. Okay, then we can take our second pocket, well, our last one, so this is our 4th one. Clip it around. Okay. This time I have it going the opposite direction of what I said last time, I think. Yes. I'm back down to a 3. I've run into my book. Just keep flipping it out of the way. Okay, for this next part, we're going to take our exterior that we've already assembled. And the lining with the pocket. Mine's open already. I'm going to fold it in half to find the center. I'm going to find the center of the top and the bottom. And also on the exterior side. So we're going to put the lining on, it's going to be on the back side of this. So we need to attach it to our zipper side. So here's my right side of my lining. I'm going to push my gusset down and match up my clips here. I'm going to go ahead and match up my clips. Clip a couple more here, just because I prefer to do it like that so my clips have a pretty good grip. And then we're going to go to the bottom and do the same thing. We're going to push a gusset down and match up our clips. And again, I'm going to clip a couple times. I like to do 3. 3 is just really my magic sewing number. So just push your gusset in. And keep clipping around. I don't know if you'll be able to hear that phone call coming in. I'm sorry. This is a little awkward with the curves, so just make sure you're curving that. But it fits really nice. But you want to make sure around those curves is smooth. You don't want to have any pinches or anything. Add one more clip here since this side's being feisty. Can never have too many clips. I think I currently own like 200 clips. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and open this zipper. Because just to get the zipper pull out of the way a bit. We are going to turn this part out through the opening in the pocket. So we'll probably turn the exterior of the bag out twice then. Unless I was supposed to leave that zipper pocket on the back open. I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna sew from this side so I can see my stitch lines. We're gonna use a 1/4 inch seam allowance. I've got some black thread now, just because I'm testing it out for someone. You won't be able to see it, so when I go to top stitch, I'll switch it back to the white. Oops. Gotta make sure I'm on a number 3. I don't like to backstitch at the beginning when I'm coming all the way around anyways. Well, I'll just sew over it when I get there. So this black thread is a Tex 70 thread. I actually got to try a Tex 80 thread as well today. I'm really liking the Tex 80, so I'm excited to use that in the future. My sample is actually rainbow. It's really pretty. I'm excited. As long as my person starts to carry it, I'll update everyone who's carrying it, when they're gonna stock it, things like that. I'm just like smoothing this out as I'm going around, making sure to feel for any lumps, bumps, things like pinch, zipper, fleece, pinched, waterproof canvas, anything like that. I'm just trying to stay right on my white line that I already have stitched. Back to the beginning. So, woohoo, we did it. Let's turn this baby out. Oops, sorry. Ah, stay. Okay, so I'm gonna reach in and turn this out. I usually try to start at the bottom of a bag. I don't know if this will be the case with this one. There's one bag I have to start at the top for because it's just, that's the thickest spot. I did say before that I left my pocket size the same for this bigger bag as the mini size, and it's actually turning out pretty well through this size. So if you make the mini, it'll turn out really easy, I think. And I did not need to have my zipper pocket open. I mean my main panel zipper, in order to turn this bag out. So if you didn't unzip your zipper, you will be fine. My zipper looks super wavy. Okay, so we're gonna close this zipper pocket now. So we definitely needed the other part of the zipper open. So I will be ripping that out off screen. I caught a little bit too much of the zipper right here. It still opens, but I'm gonna go back in and fix that. And then give this a good press. But what we're gonna do next is just, it says to turn it under 1/4 of an inch. I never like pay attention to how much I'm actually turning it under. I just turn it under what feels natural. And I'll clip it. If you wanted to put a tag inside your zipper pocket, you could do that now too here. And then sew it shut. I use a 5 stitch length. So if I ever have to rip out my pocket later, it'll be easy to do. So I'm gonna do that off screen just because I'm gonna switch thread and then switch back and whatnot, but I'm just gonna top stitch it shut in just a minute. Okay, I just wanted to pop in here real quick and show you what happened. I couldn't tell, my stitching looks really even here, so I couldn't tell where my zipper was sewn too far down. So I flipped this layer of waterproof canvas down and I found a little pinch in the zipper. See right here where that that piece is right there? That is like a pinch. So I'll have to rip that out, smooth it out better, and restitch right there. Okay, so that is fixed, and I closed the pocket. It does say to top stitch around your zipper. With my flatbed, I just don't think that's going to be able to happen. Plus, I usually never top stitch on that side of the zipper. Like all the bags, backpacks I've done have not done that. So I'm just going to leave it as it is. So we're going to move on to our D-ring connectors. I've got the same vinyl. It's interfaced with a 1-inch piece of woven fuse on the back this time, and centered. So we're going to fold this in half, and then we're going to fold our raw edges in towards the center. We're going to do this on both sides. So this is a single fold connector this time instead of the double fold. I'm going to go ahead and top stitch this now. You're not supposed to top stitch it now. You're supposed to wait. But I don't want this moving around, and I will just top stitch over it in the next step. Over the same lines that I just did. So I have one done already. And we're doing this the same way as we did the handle, except we're not double folding. So I'm using a 5 stitch length. Trimming off my stray threads. Sometimes I don't pull my thread to the back far enough when I start stitching, and it stitches itself into the other stitches. So now we're going to fold our tab in half. And what I do is fold it in half and take the one side and fold it to that center line. And then I'm going to clip it. You can use any kind of clips, it doesn't matter. Then I'm going to take my D-ring and slide it on and fold it the rest of the way to match the center. Then I'll grab another clip, or you can take this clip and clip it at the center. So you'll have this. Okay, we're going to do that again. Grab another D-ring, fold it down to match. Let me trim this interfacing. You could see that sticking out, so. And you know what? I lied to you earlier. I'm not going to stitch over what I've already stitched. What I'm going to do is sew 2 perpendicular lines to the stitching. So I'm going to sew across here, close to the hardware, and across the bottom to secure it. So now we need our pattern piece, which I just moved everything on my table, so bear with me. Here we go. Since I've not used this before, I have the pattern piece not cut out. So I'm just gonna make a cut in it and cut out this connector piece. I did not change this length of my connectors, so my connector piece is larger, like my hole that it's supposed to be. So I think I'll probably just match it up to the bottom. So we need our back. And I don't think pencil. I'm going to use my Frixion pen. And what I'm going to do is just make like the bottom like this piece. I'm not making the whole rectangle. And we're going to flip it over. I marked the center while I was over here, and we'll do the marks again. So it looks like this on both sides. I'm going to put my connector just over the line I did, the drawing I just did, so it's covered. without having to erase it in any sort of way. So what I'm going to do is turn down to a 4. That's what I use to attach all my connectors. And I'm going to sew the bottom of this connector on first. And I'm only going to stitch an eighth of an inch away from the edge and from stitch line to stitch line. And we'll go all the way forward first and then all the way back. And then I'm just going to lift my presser foot, pull this up, get pretty close to the connector, the D-ring. You want a little bit of breathing room. If you sew too close, your connector will end up ripping out. But if you sew too far away, it'll wiggle all over the place. So you want just a little bit of breathing room. So all the way across and then back. Then we'll trim the threads, including that jump thread. If you want to, you can add 2 rivets right here. And then we're going to repeat for that other connector. You can also put a piece of 1/4 inch double-sided tape here and lay it on so it doesn't move anywhere. And one more time at the top. You absolutely can stitch all the way around this, including the stitching you already did or that you didn't do. This is just what I've come to do for these. Just because then I don't have to pivot around the connector. I don't risk gouging my vinyl or my fabric or my hardware. So this is what we have. Little itty bitty connectors on here. So cute. Next up we have the slip pocket. Mine is a little bit bigger than what she had in the pattern. So between that and the fact that I'm using waterproof canvas as my backing for my slip pocket, I'm going to leave a 4-inch opening in my pocket to turn this out. And I'm going to leave the opening in the bottom of the pocket. I've got some rolly cotton lycra down here where the interfacing didn't fuse because of the rolling, not because of the interfacing. So I'm going to go ahead and take my pen and mark the 4 inches. And turn down to a 3 and stitch around using the 1/4 inch seam allowance. You can backstitch here for extra durability. Sorry, dropped my clip. And you can, silly thing, backstitch on all the corners if you want. I usually don't. Just because I've never had an issue, but I do know lots of people that do that. So, totally up to you. Best thing about making a bag is it's up to you. Okay, so we're gonna cut all 4 of our corners off, pretty close to your stitching. Don't cut through your stitching. And then what I like to do is clip upwards where I started stitching to the stitch line and where I stopped to the stitch line. That's going to help that edge fold in better, get you a nice clean finish there. Okay, so now we're going to turn this out. Oh my gosh, I just love him. He's so cute. Okay, we're going to push out all of our corners with our fingers as best as we can. Smooth that out. And then I take a crochet hook. It is a 3.75 crochet hook, and I poke my corners out with this. I've used a screwdriver. I've used dull, like kids, Fiskar scissors. I've used whatever I had laying around, basically, that hopefully won't poke through my fabric. Though I did have a screwdriver go through my fabric before. That was fun. So I'm just poking out all these corners, giving myself some nice good corners. I've also heard of people using like chopsticks. We do not own chopsticks. Okay, so we've got pretty corners, nice sharp corners. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and just trim this thread real quick, just because it's sticking out. And then because we clipped these, this is just gonna kind of fold in here pretty nicely. And it's gonna go the seam allowance that you want because you clipped to the stitching. Now you can press this if you would like. I'm just gonna clip it and do it like this. We're gonna top stitch across the top. We're gonna use a number 5 stitch length. I did not backstitch at the beginning. I was more so an accident. But when we stitch this on, we're gonna stitch right over where we began stitching anyways. So it's gonna secure my stitching. So I'm gonna leave these threads for now. We need the last lining piece. Okay, I've got a center line already. I'm gonna fold my slip pocket in half. And I'm gonna lay it on my center line. She has you do it 3 inches up from the bottom. Mine's a little different, so yeah, I've got, let's see, I've got mine 4 inches up from the bottom. But like I said, my pocket's a little bigger. My lining is definitely bigger, and I just it's kind of centered. It's a little bit lower from the top. There's a little bit more room on the top than there is on the bottom. So you can pin this down. I'm just gonna hold it and move it over. Just like we did with the connector, I'm gonna turn to a number 4. So I still get like a top stitch look, but a stronger hold. So we're going 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. I almost went a stitch too far, so I just backed up a little bit. No big deal. Okay. Making sure this last bit is smooth. Those threads that I did not backstitch on, I'm going to pull to the side so I can stitch over them. And since I'm here, what I'm going to do is I'm in the corner where my top stitching meets my stitching I just did. I'm going to turn it at an angle and just do a short little stitch across so it doesn't gape open. And then we'll go to the other side and do that as well. So I'm just in this corner where the 2 stitches meet. If I could get my waterproof canvas to slide nice. Okay, and I go about 3 stitches forward and back. The 3 is really the stitch number. So here's that on. When you were stitching that around, you could have put a tag right here too if you wanted, so it would like stick out from under here. You can put it on the side now. You can put it up here at the top. Here's the little stitching we did so the pocket doesn't gape open. Okay, so we have the exterior shell of the bag. We want to turn it so it's wrong side out. We're going to take our back side, the exterior, and fold it in half and find our centers. Looks like my centers are already marked, which is cool, but we'll just double check. Then we're going to take our previously marked centers and match it with the ones we just made on the exterior back panel. Again, I like to do a couple of clips instead of just the one. We are clipping both layers, the exterior gusset and the lining gusset. We're going to clip both of those. Now we'll find the bottom centers and match those up. I love to have overhang on all my interfacings, apparently. So, got a little bit of that again. And we're going to keep clipping around. And we'll keep clipping around. I'm going to start back at the bottom. Fit in there really nicely. Okay, so again, I like to sew into my curves. So I'm going to sew like this. So I'll move y'all over here so you can get a good angle at this. And I have interfacing overhang, so I'm going to have to keep lifting up my interfacing to make sure I have the correct stitch length, seam allowance. We're going to use a number 3 stitch length and a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Again, I'm not going to backstitch at the beginning because we'll come over it at the end. My foam was like a smidge too short when I was putting the foam on, but I figured it wouldn't be a big deal. So if you see that also, it's fine. It's just a little tiny bit of foam. Okay, going around that curve. Go as slow as you need to. Those curves can be a pain in the tuchus. Then I pull this back flat as soon as I can. Get that pocket out of the way. Okay, up here is a curve and a corner of your zipper pocket on mine. I don't know that it'll be the same on a normal sized one, but just as a heads up, we're gonna have to pull this pocket out of the way. You do not want to stitch that to your bag. I guess it really probably wouldn't matter in that top corner there, but oh, and for this, I don't have any for this machine, I don't have a plate and that shows me my stitch width. So I found that the center of my screw here is my 1/2 inch seam allowance. The other side of the screw furthest from the needle is about 5/8 of an inch. If I need anything bigger than that, I do just draw it on with a permanent marker, and by the time I'm done sewing that, it's gone, the permanent marker line, so it's not going to affect anything. Especially in those curved areas, make sure your needle's down before you move your bag or even take off a clip, because just taking that clip off can move your bag around and then your stitching will be weird and you'll probably need to go back over it, which is usually successful enough if you just backstitch in the area that it had moved in, because I have done that. So what we're going to do now is trim our seam allowance down. See, I had overhang here too, so I kept my stitch length, or my stitch width, at the 1/2 inch, but so we trim this down to 1/4 of an inch. Don't cut your pocket. This is not connected to a zipper in any way, so you are safe to trim your seam allowance all the way around. If you ever need to trim your seam allowance and you're like sewing on a zipper, make sure you only trim your seam allowance on like the exterior piece only, or the lining piece only. You don't want to trim your actual zipper down. Then you'll get, your zipper will fray and it'll eventually come out of your pocket or whatever you're sewing it into. So now we're going to turn this out. I've got foam on here, so I don't know how difficult this will be, but we're going to give it a go. Oh wait, you don't want to turn it out yet. I saw the blue on this side and I was like, score. I don't remember putting the lining on. All right. Silly. Okay. We're going to have the lining looking up at us and this right side together. And we're going to have to squish it down and clip it on. We can find our center marks again. Oh, I just trimmed mine off. We weren't supposed to trim yet. Again, got ahead of myself. So that's exciting. But I'll just follow my stitch line on the other side. It's no problem. My zipper is open on this side. I just had my hand in there, but just check to make sure that yours is actually open. I'm so silly. Oh, and you know what? This is going to be like, I'm going to need to have overhang to get this to fit right now, because I trimmed off our seam allowance. Oh, I'm so silly. I can't believe I cut this first. I was like so excited to be all the way finished. So only taken me like 3 days to finish this bag. Usually I can knock out a bag in like a day. But I am also trying to spend more time with the family, you know. Not push myself to do a bag a day. Give myself some time to do nothing. I'm just guessing on the overhang, so I might need to readjust. I might have gave myself like too much overhang, not enough. On the plus side, I won't have a saggy lining, at least on one side. No, the other side looks like it fit really nice, so I don't think I would have a saggy lining issue at all. Anyways. I got just a bit of extra here. And again, that's because of me trying to guess on my overhang. So I'm just moving it around. And I'm adding like all the clips. Okay. Good enough. Now I've got like this really big tortoise shell. All right, I'll put you back over here. We're gonna sew from the same side so I can sew right on my stitch line. Gonna have to push your bag flat. So you got a tortoise shell. I am going to sew back stitch here because I won't be able to really tell fully where I started. Whoops. Some of these lines that I'm going to have to sew on are going to be really skinny. Like, sometimes I get careless when I'm trimming and I get down to 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. I highly recommend not trimming your bag down before adding your lining on. In case anyone was curious if this was easier or anything. Oops, see, it's not. Just fell off. It's fine. I'll just start back a little bit. And I'll back stitch. And now I'm over that spot that I just fell off. That seam allowance might have been like 1/16 of an inch. And I caught my pocket. Darn it. Again, not a big deal. It's just the corner of the pocket. that wouldn't even get seen anyways. But I'm going to clip my pocket corners out of the way now. So that would have been the smart thing to do. So again, start back a little bit further from where you left off, back stitch, and carry on. I don't know how that didn't break, or my needle didn't break, or anything. If you flip your bag up towards the sky, it is a little bit easier to keep flat, to keep like the top area smooth. Bonus of me doing this is I'm reinforcing all of my stitching right now. So the bag should be pretty strong on the back at least. I made it all the way around. Surprisingly, I only have one pinch in my fabric, so I'm taking that as a win and leaving it. So we're going to trim this down now. I'm just trimming off my lining fabric. I am not trimming any more of my exterior fabric. At least not on purpose anyways. Okay. Now we can turn our turtle shell out. So let me move. Sorry. Okay. Whoa! Okay. Again, I'm going to try to grab the bottom of the bag first. Not real sure. This one's gonna make it through. I might have to unzip the exterior and pull the lining out kind of first. I don't know if you heard me, but I might have to unzip the exterior and pull it out the lining first, because I am trying to pull the exterior front and back through this hole. And with the waterproof canvas and the foam, I'm not sure how feasible that's going to be. All right, do over. Where's the top here? Okay. I actually don't think this is going to work either. All right. So I'm going to try to start with the top of the bag. I've got my zipper pocket turned right side out. Again, this is the same kind of situation I was talking about earlier. I did not enlarge my pocket for the size of this bag. I left it the same size as the mini. So I guarantee you won't have this kind of issue if you make the mini, or if you actually made your pocket bigger. This is an 8-inch pocket, but so you would think it would be okay, but with the waterproof canvas and the foam, it's just like, no. It's coming. Just very, very slowly. There we go. Ugh. Okay, now I'm going to pull it out through, like pull the lining. think this is all the way out. There we go. Woohoo! It's doable. Just takes some finagling. Okay, so we want to be pushing this all out now. Push that pocket in. Push the front exterior back out. I noticed earlier that this part right here was kind of like this. I thought I had pinched it when I sewed, but I just had to push it out from the inside. It's pretty thick right there, for me at least, with the waterproof canvas and whatnot. So it just kind of got stuck under there. Okay. I didn't close my zipper pocket yet. Oh, it's in the back, that's right. So here's our little bag. Oh my gosh, it's so cute. I love it. Need some. Oh. Okay, so we gotta close this zipper pocket and do our straps. And we are finished. Now I only have 3 clips, swivel clips. I have some more coming already. Like, I think they'll probably be here tonight or tomorrow night. So I'm only going to show you one strap, but you're going to do the exact same thing on the other one, so it's not a huge deal. Okay, here we're just top stitching. I had folded it under 1/4 inch or so. I'll turn up to a 5 stitch length. Okay. Tuck this in again. I like to really get in there and push those corners down. Okay, I just squashed the back. I do like the amount of interfacing on here. It's not too much, it's not too little. We've got a good like backpack here. Okay, here's how I do my strap. This is an adjustable strap for this little mini backpack. Its intentions are for children, I imagine. I don't know really, but the strap is 48 inches long. I'm doing a 1 inch wide strap, so it is 4 inches wide. Whoops, this is my back side, ignore that. This is a stretchy vinyl from My Punk Embroidery. It's like whipped avocado. Because it's stretchy and I'm using it for a backpack, I took some woven fuse from Got Interfacing and I interfaced a 2 inch strip in the center of my 4 inch strip. Okay, so what I do first is mark a line down the center. Okay. So I'm going to make a line down the center, all the way down my strap. Okay. Just kidding. I've got 1/4 inch double-sided tape from waywack.com or Wawack. I don't know. I've got crud all over it. I'm sure many of you do if you have this. So I'm going to take my 1/4 inch double-sided tape and lay it on the line I just drew. You can absolutely wing this. I do, I have. I've done both. There's, especially with this vinyl, since it's got like a fuzzy backing, the double-sided tape doesn't really like the backing, so it doesn't stick very well. So there's really not a reason for me to use the double-sided tape on this particular vinyl. But I will. I am. Okay, I've peeled it off about, I don't know, halfway or so. And we're gonna take the side closest to us and fold it up to meet our center line. And I like to finger press it while coming across and just dragging my fingers to finger press the folded edge, and to also drag my fingers across the taped area so the vinyl will adhere better. But as you can see, it just does not like this fuzzy back to vinyl. I thought I was gonna get away with it, but okay, so we'll come back to where we were, get a few inches down, and clip it. Hold on. Okay, maybe in just a second you'll have to hold on. Sounds like the mailman's gonna be here, which is really early for my mailman. Okay, pulled off the double-sided tape the rest of the way, and we will finish this up. Now you want to be careful with a stretchy vinyl that you're not actually stretching the vinyl. Okay, we're going to flip our vinyl over. This is what I do. Up to you. And then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to fold our edges in to meet the center. I do not leave a little bit of space so it can fold over nicer or anything. I've not had any issues with that. I do know that some people do leave a little bit of a gap, like less than 1/8 of an inch. Feel free to. This is the last of my rainbow clips here. So I'm going to take the other side of the clip and just push it down more. They have long necks, so they can reach the other side of this 2-inch strap. Okay. And I don't need it to reach that side for very long. Because for the next part, do you want? Okay, you can cut it out if you want. So now we're gonna, sorry, I got ahead of myself here. We're gonna just fold this in half here. And we're gonna put your clip back on. Oops. Okay, so now any kind of stretchiness of the vinyl is hidden inside this strap, so you don't have to worry about the rest of it, any of it stretching, because we have that interfacing on the outside, or on the, yeah, on the outside parts of the strap. Okay, so now we'll stitch. So I'm going to use a 5 stitch length on my industrial machine here. I use a Tex 90 right now. This white is Tex 90. And I've got, I want to say this is an 80 needle. Just kidding, it's an 18 needle. Okay, so I stitch my open side first. So what I do is I take my completed strap, or I real quick fold my other strap up till it's like the 4 layers thick, just like this is. And I'm gonna lay this on the back side of my foot. And this is gonna act as like a hump jumper for me. So we'll put the needle down. My vinyl is a little bit too far away from the beginning here where I wanted it. So we just move it a little bit closer. Whoop. That's why you need the hump jumper, so you don't stitch 20 times in the same spot. Okay. Now I'm using the inside of my zipper foot here. The inside, let's see. The inside of my zipper foot as a guide. Hopefully you can see that all right. For this piece. Perfect. Okay, so the inside of my zipper foot's my guide. That's my 1/8 inch seam allowance. I should have checked my bobbin because I don't think I have enough to complete this strap. Okay, I'm just lining up my edge here, making sure these 2 folded edges meet, and there's no overhang. See, I knew it. This is why you check your bobbin first. But this is okay. So I'm not going to rip out my stitching or anything wild like that. Because who wants to do that? Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some pretty long tails here. I'm going to start stitching again, 2 stitches back from where I left off. I'm going to put my needle in the hole I made. I'm gonna pull those threads to the back, and we're just gonna keep sewing. I am not back stitching here. Just want to keep moving your strap if you have to make sure that it's still lined up. You want those two folded edges to meet. You don't want one side longer than the other side or anything like that. I'm just going to leave jump threads, and we're going to come and sew on this side now. Again, you want to take the other end of your strap here, butt it up to the beginning of your strap. Now for this side, I can just hold my fingers here and guide my the rest of my strap in. I usually don't even bother back stitching on my straps because you're gonna sew it or something like that anyways. I am gonna trim my thread. Then we will come to the where I left my threads long. Okay, this is my top side. So I'm going to grab my really long thread, and I'm going to, on the bottom side, and I'm going to pull it. And it's created a small loop right here. I'm gonna take your seam ripper and pull that loop. Try not to rip that thread. So you've got your two long threads on the back now, and we're gonna tie that off. We're gonna double knot it. And just like the beginning of tying a shoe, we're going to do that twice. And you want to pull your thread tight. Then you trim all your threads. You can use a thread zapper here. I like to use a lighter just to burn the ends a little bit, but you've got to be very careful so your strap doesn't melt. But here's where our tied part is. Right there. But unless you're really looking for it, after I burn it, you won't be able to see it. And here's the opposite side, the top side. I think this is a piece of thread right there. It is. That's the strap. Then let me make sure she's doing this the same way. Okay, we're putting it on the slider first. Sure. So we're going to take our slider, come up, and back down. Oops. She's using fabric. I'm using vinyl. This won't fray. So all I'm going to do is fold it over an inch. And I'm going to clip it. Okay, so it's like this now. We got it just through that center bar only, and it's folded an inch. I sew this part, sorry, with the folded edge of the vinyl up so I can get close. I pull my slider away from the vinyl, and then I put my zipper foot right up next to my hardware. They're touching. I'm going to use a 4 stitch length and sew across and then back. You can add not a swivel clip. Oh, a rivet. You can add a rivet right there if you would like. Next, we're going to take the Swivel Lobster clasp, and we're going to slide it on with the wrong side facing up. So it'll be like this. This is the right side and the wrong side. Okay. Then we'll take the raw edge we still have left. We're going to come up through the one side of the slider, pull it tight down to the other side. Okay. It doesn't have to be super tight. But then you want to take the raw edge still and come down the other end. So then you have this loose swivel lobster. Here's your strap, slider, and then we have this raw edge still. So we'll take our other swivel clip. Make sure we put it on with the same side. You want it all to be facing the same direction. So this is the right side of the strap, and here's the wrong side of the strap. See my raw edges? They're all facing in here. Okay. So again, we're going to fold this an inch. And we'll do the same thing on this side. I've got my folded edge facing up at me. I can see the raw edge of my vinyl. I'm pretty close to my swivel clip. We're going to sew all the way across and back. I like to stay in between my stitch lines. Again, you can add a swivel, a rivet here if you would like. I'm not going to add the rivets just because I don't want to. This is one strap for our backpack now. Okay. If you wanted to as well to add a more finished look, you could put a strap end on here as well. But this is for a backpack, so I'm not that worried about it. Here's the backpack I made. This is the Phoebe from Sincerely Jen. So this one will clip at the top. And then this piece will clip at the bottom here. So we'll have this. Now there'll be two of them, but I only have three of the Lobster clasps right now. So there we go. So I can like at least sling this over. You know, you gotta get it way tighter. But here it is. Alright, I hope that helps everyone. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you. Bye.